Sometimes people ask me, Chris, why Italy? Why'd you choose Italy for this radical sabbatical that you took, this month of vacation that you took? And there's a lot of reasons. I was born and raised in Michigan, in the Flint area, believe it or not. And Michigan is not known for having the best climate in the world. The sun kind of escapes for several months at a time in the winter. And those of us that are from those types of climates, maybe some of you can relate to this. You really appreciate the sun and the hot weather. And boy, you get some nice sunny days and you run out there and you take advantage of it and you almost clear your schedule just so you don't waste a day like that doing something indoors. And so I've always appreciated the wonderful sunny climates, and there's something about the Mediterranean coast, that whole bastion around the Mediterranean, the sunniness and that climate. It's so clear skied and just wonderful that that was part of it, was the climate. The other part was the coastline. Italy has an absolutely gorgeous coastline with big mountains in the south going straight down into the calm Mediterranean, and all around the coast it's just gorgeous. And you have these old towns built into the side of the coast. And I would recommend going to Positano on the Amalfi Coast in southwest Italy and looking at the city or the little town of Positano, and the buildings are pastel colors and they're all built into the hill. And it looks like a wedding cake. And some of the most expensive real estate in the world, I'm told. And I guess why not? Who wouldn't want to live in a wedding cake? And so the coastline is just breathtakingly gorgeous. And then there's the topography of the rest of the land. Like you get into Tuscany and you have the rolling hills, and they're hard to describe. And I try so much in the book, and other writers before me have probably done a better job describing exactly what that landscape looks like. You've got the green mountains in the distance that go kind of a dark gray green, and then you've got the bright tan wheat fields and the bright yellow sunflower fields in the foreground with the dark green cypress trees standing up like a bunch of soldiers. You see the canopy pines lining driveways up to bright tan stone-built villas, hundreds of years old, sitting on top of all these big round hills like soldiers on lookout. And so the topography is just gorgeous. And then of course there's the history. You know, all through Italy there's all types of different layers of historical ruins going back to the ancient peoples of whom we know almost nothing. And then next come the Etruscans, and they've left us mostly tombs, but some very fascinating paintings, and one of them, a famous painting of a guy diving off a diving board into a pool. And then there's the Romans and all that the Romans contributed to the Western civilization, the way we think and the law and the way you organize and administer different things. And then of course the rise of the church, and you know, the Apostle Paul being martyred in Rome, and the rise of the church after that, and the whole history of the popes and all these little fiefdoms all around Italy that were each little city-states. And then there's the Renaissance, and then there's the age of exploration with Marco Polo early, and then Cristoforo Colombo after that, and then there's World War II, which the Allied landing, coming in through the southwest and coming up through the peninsula. Just amazing history, and everywhere you go here there's layer upon layer upon layer of history. And then there's the art. If you like art, of course you've got Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and Donatello, and I mean so many famous artists. And I was told that somewhere around a quarter of the world's art is right here on this one little peninsula of Italy, and somewhere around a quarter to a half of that is in the city of Florence, which I highly recommend that you go to, and you can read all about that in the book as well. And then there's the architecture. I love architecture. I could stop and look at gables and roofs and doors and friezes and I'm just endlessly. And my camera always seems to point towards all these old stone buildings and all these monuments and these different buildings. So if you like architecture, you're just going to love it. It's eye candy everywhere you go. And then of course the culture. There's something to the Italian culture. It's largely built up of the mores and tendencies of the people, and they're so friendly, and just the whole culture, from the siestas and the hot afternoons to the greetings and the interpersonal relationships and the cutting a bella figura by walking through town, making sure you're dressed right and looking just right, and just so many interesting, fascinating aspects to the culture. And I just love the Italian culture and the Italian people, and I've made so many good friends here that I just feel so blessed to have my life. And then of course food. Who could talk about Italy without talking about the food? And every meal, it seems like, is better and better and better, and even my children just love the food, and we talk about the food and we experiment with the different foods, and even my little children are getting to be kind of ambitious eaters and trying different things, and just amazing. So the food too. Oh, and then Ferrari. Let's talk about Ferrari. But there's a lot of horsepower history here with Ferrari and Lamborghini and Bugatti and Ducati, and so it's just an endless dish of samples that you can draw from, no matter what your particular flavor might be. And so for me it was Italy, but by no means does the art of vacation or the concept of restorative breaks have to happen in Italy. And actually, by no means does it even have to be extravagant. It could be in your backyard. Just turn off your cell phone and go out there and sequester yourself for a few hours of solitude and kind of repair your frayed nerve endings and get back out there doing what you do. And we'll talk more about some of those concepts on the website and in the book. But so people ask me about Italy, and that's why. And you know, I can't read enough about the history and all the different aspects of the culture of Italy, and it just seems to be a bottomless pit of enjoyment. So if you're an Italiophile, if you'd like to come here, if you've maybe always dreamed of going to Italy, I'll just tell you this: you won't be disappointed. And if you're a seasoned world traveler and you got all kinds of things you could teach me about coming to Italy, then by all means comment on the blog. Tell me some of your favorite spots. I'd like to go to them too. And there's room enough for all of us to enjoy this beautiful land.